It's great to have you on. Love to talk to a fellow agency in the Houston area. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about how you got started in your agency? That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me on, Matt. I really appreciate it. And the other thing about competing agencies all the time, they say that people can't work together, and I find that to be absolutely untrue. You always achieve more in groups, even if it's in the same industry. There's always a way you can add value to each other. So I really appreciate you having me on and hearing out my opinion and things like that. So a little bit about myself. My name is James Kaatz. I am the Chief Executive Officer and the co-founder of Illumination Marketing. I have almost 20 years of experience in the marketing industry now. I actually started out in the entertainment industry where I was in there for about 8 years, and I learned a lot about professional branding, television work, voiceovers, timing, collateral, all of that fun stuff. I graduated college with a degree in radio and television and quickly moved to Houston, where I started working at a local advertising agency here in the Houston area, where I became a media buyer for Fortune 500 companies. So some of my companies that I had included SodaStream, Arby's, Sleep Number, AT&T. I helped relaunch Zest in Canada. So a very diverse range of what we're doing and managing multi-million-dollar budgets, even up to the billions with AT&T. It was a monster, right? Needed a different challenge, went over to the Houston Chronicle, got laid off 6 months later with half the company, which is how I figured out that the newspaper was unfortunately a declining industry at the time. And that was right before the big digital switch over into the Hearst Media Services. But it ended up being a blessing in disguise. I got a job at a marketing agency that was based in the automotive vertical, where I quickly got promoted into management and took my section of the company from losing 6 figures a year to making just under $2 million a year in 2 years. And I took a lot of pride in that. What we did is we switched from a video services to a data strategy services in the automotive industry. So we could use all types of data to really fine tune our customer avatars and our data points and our messaging and, everything that really makes a marketing campaign successful. And we saw that the average automotive dealership grew 6% market share in 6 months with us when we were doing that. And it was a fantastic learning experience, but I needed a different experience as well. I wanted to get outside of just doing automotive. So I actually went over to a software company that was based in the healthcare niche, where they built on additional services to the GE Centricity healthcare platform. And I helped that company make $1.3 million a year in first-year contracts, more than anything they'd made, en route to their most successful year in their company history. A lot of what they attributed to me. And it was a great experience, great company. It had me traveling around the United States to go talk about healthcare and specifically community health, which was fantastic. But all of that experience led to me and my wife going, you know what, we can help more than just one company at a time. Why don't we start our own thing? And, my wife being the smarter of the two of us, it was her idea. And, the light bulb comes on and Illumination Marketing was born. And we started our company a little over 3 years ago, almost 3.5 years ago now. And we've helped multiple companies make 6 figures in a year. And we've had a great time doing it.
Well, fantastic. James, it sounds like you have a lot of experience in automotive. I know there's a number of BBB members out there in the healthcare space and also in the automotive industry. So I think that's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about kind of what you're seeing and kind of how you're handling it with the shift with COVID, right? So the last 18 months have really been interesting and have impacted a lot of different industries in a lot of different ways, maybe how it's impacted you specifically, maybe your organization, as well as some of your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. COVID was a scary time for all of the small businesses and medium-sized businesses around. There's just no way around it. Some did really well, like Zoom and the digital businesses like that. But what we were doing at the time last March, half of our revenue was tied up in helping restaurants grow their brands. And restaurants were one of the hardest hit industries out there. So all of our restaurant owners that we were talking to, they were trying to figure out how to pivot, like, oh my gosh, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And, even our agency were like, oh my gosh, overnight, half our revenue is gone, right? So it was a scary time, but we figured it out within a couple of weeks that when they started opening up to-go margarita sales and they started opening up to-go sales, and we really found that communities would rally around to support these local small businesses. And it was just upwards and onwards from there. We did video work for a lot of local restaurants, and we even branched outside of the restaurants. We do everything from restaurants to landscaping to roofing to med spas. We've done a diverse range of clients, especially in the last year. But we found that these trends still maintain no matter what industry. If you can really connect with somebody, which video work is a fantastic way to do it, and you can build that tribe of your audience, they'll support you through the worst of times. And that's what we saw. Not a single one of our restaurants went out of business. Not a single one of our other industries went out of business. And we actually finished our year up 30% as well in revenue. So we managed to grow even in a pandemic. So there was abilities to make more money. And now those restaurants are making even more money because they're opening back up and they can still do the to-go orders like they were doing. So they're making just as much, if not more money than they were last March and last April.
No, fantastic. So we've talked a little bit about some of the different industries where you have some experience and success. Can you break down maybe digital marketing into some more niche categories because it's just so diverse, like you mentioned? Videography, it sounds like you do videography. I think that's fantastic. I mean, SEO, videos playing into doing the storytelling, the conversion rate, all that sort of stuff. So I think video is extremely important. What other services do you specialize in? We're talking about, like, when you work with other agencies, I'm on a number of interagency calls, and different agencies bring different skill sets to the table. So I think it's really important to understand what you're really good at, and then where you can partner. So can you share a little bit about maybe some of the verticals inside internet marketing where you have some real experience and strengths that you would want to highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Illumination Marketing, we are actually a full service media and marketing company. So what does this mean? We do everything from build strategy to build websites to social media management, advertising, pay-per-click, SEO, all the way to videography, photography, and everywhere in between. So we have a very diverse skill set and a very diverse range of experience and interests that help us to help our clients achieve greater success, meaning, higher revenue. As far as the different sectors within marketing, this is actually one of our favorite topics to talk about. On our first call that we ever have with people, we try to educate them to that very topic. So how do you put a marketing plan together? And especially for some of these small businesses, they didn't go to marketing school. They might not have gone to college. They might not have even taken a marketing class or even looked at an online webinar on YouTube or anything like that, right? So we try to set this strategy up for them. And there's 6 distinct sections within marketing that we use as our company for all of our clients to help build these marketing campaigns. The first one is you have to have your product known. And this is like business basics 101, right? You have to know what you are, what you do well. You have to know what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats are. That's called a SWOT analysis. A lot of companies have heard of that, as well as building a customer avatar. You have to know exactly who you want to talk to in order to make your marketing work effectively. So once you get that section of it really figured out, then you can move on to the portion where you host the information that you discovered in that first step. And we typically see websites are the best place to do this. There's really 2 that you work through, which is going to be websites or social media, websites being the number 1 of the 2. So with websites in the automotive industry, I used to have a saying with the automotive dealers that a good website won't sell you a car, but a bad website will keep you from selling a car. So it's really important that you have this well done on the front end. And there's a lot more that goes into it than just building a fancy website. There's eye tracking, there's color psychology, it's like herding cats, right? And if you do it the right way, you can funnel enough people down to where you can get them to take the action that you want, which is ultimately to put in a lead and grow your business and or sell your product. So once you get that step completed and you have something telling the people about step 1, you go over to step 3, which is the content portion of it. So you have to create some type of content to get people back to your website about that message. Some of the most popular types right now, video work. You see that 80% of all time spent on the internet is spent watching videos. It's incredibly important to get some video work done for your business. You can do it on an iPhone these days. Those things are crazy good with how good their cameras are. But you can also do a whole bunch of other things. You can create flyers, you can do ebooks and white papers, and there's all types of content that you can create to try and draw people back. So after you create that content, then you go to the most important portion of this whole plan, which is the distribution of that content. And there's several different places that you can do. We see social media and paid social media specifically is a great opportunity for a lot of businesses. The cost to reach 1,000 people who are targeted because of that customer avatar, you can get it for sometimes under $1 if you do it right. So compared traditionally to something like radio where you're looking $25 to $50, and then TV where you're looking $150 to $1,000 depending on the placement and the time, it's a really cost-effective medium for businesses. So once you get that distribution done, it becomes your personal ATM machine, right? You put $1 in, you get $2, $3, $4, $5 back. After that, you have to go to a follow-up stage. The follow-up stage is really, really important. 80% of all sales are done on the 5th or longer contact, and there's something called the marketing rule of sevens, which was a maxim developed in the 1930s by the movie industry that saw that someone had to see their movie poster at least 7 times before they would take the action to go into the theater and watch that movie. And that was 100 years ago. So what is it today? When I was when I was a media buyer, we saw that a flight, an ad campaign was generally played out around 2,600 gross rating points, meaning that the average person in the market saw it between 16 and 20 times. So the answer to that question probably lies somewhere between that 7 and 20 point for market, right? So it goes all these different layers, and you have to continue to follow up with them, retargeting, phone call, sales, CRM systems. There's a whole bunch of ways you can do it. And then the 6th step of this whole process, bringing it all back around, is you have to track your data. Tracking is one of the most important parts of your campaign, because why would you do it if you don't know that it works? You might as well just set your money on fire or throw everything you can at a dartboard, right? It's so we like to do what we refer to as like the sniper approach at marketing, where we know who we're trying to hit, versus the shotgun approach where we spray and pray. So if you're very thoughtful and meticulous in your marketing strategy, the sky's the limit, and you can see 7-figure gains within a year. It's really incredible what you can do with marketing done well.
Yeah, fantastic. No, I love digital marketing just because of the analytics involved, and you can pivot based on how the campaigns are run. So I think there's some advantages over traditional marketing. I think they all have their place, of course, but really just fell in love with that component of digital advertising. So so tell me a little bit about maybe the trust component. Google talks about, like, there's a big algorithm change, it's talking about EAT, right? Expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. And being associated with the Better Business Bureau. Better Business Bureau really focuses on, hey, if you're looking for companies, these are accredited businesses that you can trust. And so I'm curious what being part of the Better Business Bureau means to you, because there's not a lot of marketing agencies out there that are accredited. So maybe you could talk about that a little bit, James.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you bring that up. So in marketing, we have the saying that it's a know, like, trust factor before someone will do business with you. First, they have to know you. Second, they have to like you. And then third, they have to trust that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. So there's like 3 main ways that you can get to trust, right? You can get through social proof, like Google reviews, things like that. You can go through testimonials, like video testimonials are incredibly powerful. And then the third way, which is what we suggest that a lot of companies do, is go through the accreditation route. It's awards that are winning, or in this case, having a BBB accreditation. It's such a great organization with such a long history of producing great content that it's instant credibility when you see that. So when you go to a company's website, which we already know is important, and they see a BBB logo and maybe a Chamber of Commerce logo and then a set of awards that they've won, all of a sudden someone's like, you know what, maybe they do know what they're talking about. I'll give them my time to at least give them a chance to make a sell to me. So it's so incredibly important. And the algorithms are always going to put more stock into things like the BBB, who has a great rating within the Google search engine, right? And it passes that what like we call link juice back to the websites that is basically your friend vouching for you in the digital space. So the Better Business Bureau and the BBB, it's just such a fantastic organization that can help your business grow.
No, absolutely. So, tell me a little bit about, you said a lot of things, and I think that people out there that are listening are trying to pull it all together, right? You threw a lot of great statistics out there. You've talked about a lot of different things. I like your process. Can you kind of maybe share some really, boiled down tips, right? That you've learned over the years in your diverse experience and what you've had with working with clients. So if anybody's listening to this, they can actually take something tangible away with them, and they can say, hey, I can implement this, or I need to do this, or just maybe some words of wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely. So the part I love about marketing and advertising is that the principles stay the same no matter what industry you're in and no matter what time period it is. So I'll give you an example. In the 1960s, there was, a very limited amount of media out there. The internet hadn't quite been invented for people to consume. There was no out-of-home television. There was no Netflix or anything like that. There was, a few main ball stations. There's advertising billboards. There were out-of-home advertising in like football stadiums, things like that, right? But the secret to it was knowing who the customer was and then making sure that your message is where they were hanging out. So fast forward to today, that principle stays the same. If you know who your customer is, we have so many more avenues where we can target them specifically. One of the reasons we love social media so much is you can target people who, say that you're a high-end hair salon or something like that. You can target people who are making the top 25% of income within a given zip code, who has affinity towards a certain brand, like maybe a Gucci or a Chanel or something like that, who've also been looking for hair extensions. And then all of a sudden you can pay to be only in front of that audience, so they'll come into your salon. And that principle has stayed the same over the last 70 years. So that's part of what I love about the marketing industry specifically. So that first piece of advice, just know who you're trying to do business with and realize that you cannot do business with everybody. And when you narrow it down, you'll find much more success. The second piece of advice, track everything. Right? There's no reason to do something if you don't know that it works. And that's one of the things that we focus on at our agency, Illumination Marketing, is making sure that we can tie revenue to every marketing initiative we do. So whether it's SEO, whether it's even a billboard, or whether it's digital marketing such as social media, we can either tie a code to it, we can tie a vanity number to it, we can tie so many different things that help us track where those dollars are coming, so we can know where the impressions are coming from, how many people we're reaching, and it ties together in that way. So those are my two main pieces of advice, is know who you're trying to talk to and track what messages you're sending.
I love that. I mean, marketing is marketing is marketing. The mediums change, but people stay the same, right? So James, I got to run here. I wanted to see if there was anything else that we missed that you want to share to the audience, as well as how everybody can get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We at Illumination Marketing have a passion for helping businesses grow their revenue, and we want it to be trackable ROI. That's really what we focus our agency on. So if you're looking for help with your business, we are BBB accredited, and we would love to help you grow. You can find us online, www.marketingillumination.com, and find out all of the services that we have to offer and how we can help your business grow. You can also connect with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, every single social media. We try to be there. And if you have any questions, we're more than happy to do a free consultation, or a complimentary consultation, I should say. Just to give you some direction and maybe help you even set your marketing strategy. And even if you don't decide to do business with us, we at least put good out into the world and helping you decide and grow your community.
Fantastic. James, Illumination Marketing, appreciate it. Enjoyed having you on. Have a good one.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate it. Have a good one.